I asked Larry Fink about whether he was surprised by the emphasis that corporate American investors have put on climate over the last year. Those examples including Microsoft, Salesforce, and Delta during what has been a pandemic and, to some degree, even a financial crisis.
More and more people do understand that climate risk is investment risk. And as more investors understand that, and I wrote this in my last year's letter, when finance really understands a problem, we move that, we take that future problem and bring it forward. And that's what we saw in 2020 and what we're seeing now. The flows, even in January, in sustainability funds are growing, not shrinking. Right. And this is going to continue in 2021.
One of the questions that critics raise repeatedly is that companies announce plans to be net zero or to be neutral, carbon neutral or whatnot. In large part, that requires them to buy carbon offsets and things like that, but that the carbon offset market is not real. And in fact, some of it may even be fake. The idea that certain forests or trees are being conserved, that they might have been conserved anyway, and they're being double counted, and there's all sorts of shenanigans taking place. What do you think about that?
I'm not here to really understand whether there are shenanigans or not. I believe there companies that buy carbon, who buy carbon offsets, it's a legitimate process. Net, it does improve the world. And do we have the proper metrics and analytics to really measure it properly? Probably not, but we're moving there. Look, I like having these skeptics because the skeptics push us further. So I'm not against that type of skepticism. But I would say to you, Andrew, with total clarity and confidence, that finance has caught on to the idea that we need to move forward on sustainability. And I believe we're at the cutting edge of making substantial changes in how we invest, where we invest. And I believe this is going to move sustainability much faster than any of the skeptics ever imagined. And I would say, as you framed the prior question, so many of the skeptics did not even understand so much of what I wrote about last year, and it's happening. We're seeing an acceleration of money moving into more sustainability. Now we're talking about overvalued companies. A year ago, we didn't do that. So, I couldn't win last year when everybody was skeptical that that doesn't make sense. And now we're talking about a potential bubble. Well, obviously it worked, and I believe it's going to continue to work. And but I'm not against what the skeptics are saying. We need to create a true carbon market. And that's one thing that I've had many meetings on. How can we create a true quantifiable and certifiable carbon market? And that will address some of the skeptics' issues. But, with some of the major people in the world's finance are talking about how do we create a true carbon market. And so we could properly evaluate and price carbon effectively. Right. And we could have companies buying and selling carbon offsets. And I think that's a net positive for the world.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.